The recycled air in Vexor's citadel tasted like burnt rubber and shattered ambitions. Ambassador Elias Vance adjusted his translator for the third time, fighting another glitch, this time on the Draxan word for negotiation, which, based on context, seemed to translate to prelude to dismemberment. Vexor, the Draxan warlord, lounged on his obsidian throne, all four of his arms folded in what the diplomatic briefing had labeled moderate displeasure. "You come to my domain over a few misunderstandings on Titan," he rumbled, his voice like grinding tectonic plates. Elias kept his expression carefully neutral, though internally he was calculating just how many misunderstandings it took to level 3 colonial defense stations and vaporize a shipment of medical supplies. The Galactic Union prefers the term aggressive resource extraction, though civilian casualties was also on the table. But I'm flexible on terminology. Behind Vexor, something shifted in the deep shadows flanking the throne. Unit Titan, the warlord's personal Draxian bodyguard. A silhouette of promised violence, 8 feet of bioengineered nightmare wrapped in armor-plated skin and bad intentions. Its face was a slab of emotionless granite. If granite occasionally ate people for sport, the Draxians were a warrior caste, genetically engineered for one purpose: absolute loyalty to whoever held their blood debt. Unthinking, unfeeling, unstoppable. Humans. Vexor spat the word like it left a foul taste in his mouth. Soft, barely worth the energy to crush. Then Titan moved, not the careful, measured shift of a guard on duty, but a full-body shudder, as if something deep inside it had realigned. It stepped forward, massive head tilting, nostrils flaring as if catching a scent for the first time. Its pupils, normally impassive slits, dilated into black pools that seemed to drink the light from the room. Every being in the chamber tensed. Vexor's upper right hand drifted toward the plasma cutter at his hip. "Titan," he snapped, voice laced with confusion. "What is it?" The Draxian ignored him, its entire focus locked onto Elias. "Master," Titan's voice was a low, grinding rumble, like stone on stone. "What species is that?" Vexor scoffed, waving a dismissive claw. That is a human. A pest. Pathetic hairless apes who think their blustering words are a substitute for strength. Pay it no mind, it is nothing." Titan's head tilted again, slow and deliberate. Its internal processes were clearly struggling, cross-referencing millennia of combat data, loyalty programming, and genetic imperatives against the sudden, overwhelming flood of new sensory input. The scent rolling off Elias was impossible. It wasn't the smell of fear, though that was there, a faint top note. Beneath it was something else, something ancient. It smelled of pack leadership, of stubborn survival against impossible odds, of the quiet, patient authority of a predator that had no equal. It smelled like Apex, and Titan's creators, in their infinite wisdom, had programmed their creations with one inviolable core directive that superseded all others: serve the strongest. Find the apex. Obey. They had assumed it would always be the one who paid the most, or wielded the biggest weapon. They had never accounted for biology. Titan moved again, this time with a speed that defied its bulk. It crossed the remaining distance and dropped to one knee before Elias with a sound like tectonic plates shifting into a new, terrifying alignment. "I guard you now." The silence that followed could have suffocated a star. Vexor's roar of pure, undiluted fury shook dust from the vaulted ceiling. "Titan, you dare? Kill him, kill the human now." Titan tilted its massive head, considering the screaming Draxan as if observing a curious, noisy insect. "No, I own you. Your blood debt is to me." "Incorrect," Vexor shrieked. "Your creator sold you to my clan." "Contract is void," Titan replied, its voice devoid of inflection but carrying the finality of a death sentence. "I serve the Apex. He is Apex. You are obsolete." Vexor, consumed by rage, went for his weapon. It was his last. Mistake. Titan moved like physics owed it a personal favor. One moment it was kneeling. The next, it had risen and separated Vexor's upper right arm from his body with a single contemptuously casual swipe. The plasma cutter clattered across the polished floor as the warlord shrieked, a sound of agony and disbelief. "Holy shit!" Elias muttered, his diplomatic training finally failing him. Then louder, "I don't suppose we could talk about this?" Titan regarded him with those depthless black eyes. "You wish to negotiate? I'm literally an ambassador. It's kind of my entire thing. Acceptable. Kill them. Kill them both." Vexor shrieked, clutching his gushing stump. The throne room erupted into a storm of plasma fire. Elias Vance had once talked his way out of a firing squad on Osiris 42B, using nothing but a deck of cards and a creative interpretation of local tax law. This was worse. Plasma bolts scorched the air around him as Titan tucked him under one arm like a misplaced parcel. The Draxian moved with terrifying efficiency, its free limbs a whirlwind of brutal modern art, reducing Vexor's guards to abstract expressions of pain and poor life choices. "Well," Elias shouted over the cacophony of death screams, "this is not how I saw today going." "Adaptation is survival," Titan replied, its voice a calm bass note in this symphony of chaos. It casually threw a guard through a stained glass window depicting Vexor's surprisingly ugly ancestors. "You understand this principle. I understand we need to leave." The floor exploded upward as reinforcements arrived, these ones smart enough to bring heavy repeating blasters. Titan grunted, the first sign of strain Elias had seen, and bulldozed toward the exit with the force of a runaway freight train. They burst through 3 walls, 2 security checkpoints, and one very surprised kitchen staff before reaching the main hangar bay. Titan commandeered a sleek private shuttle with the same brutal efficiency it had shown in combat, which is to say, it threw the terrified pilot out of the cockpit and sat down at the controls like it had always belonged there. "Can you fly this thing?" Elias asked, frantically strapping himself into the co-pilot seat. "I can learn." Titan's massive, 4-fingered hands moved across the alien control surfaces with inhuman speed and precision, absorbing the new data instantly. Your heart rate is elevated but controlled. Adrenaline response is optimal, not panicked. Interesting. Thanks. Maybe focus on the not dying part before we become a permanent art installation. The shuttle lurched skyward just as the massive hangar doors began to grind shut. They scraped through the narrowing gap with inches to spare, the screech of metal on metal, a final insult to the chaos they left behind. Below them, Vexor's citadel was a spire of smoke, alarms, and what was likely a torrent of extremely creative Draxian profanity. Elias slumped in his seat, the adrenaline beginning to ebb, leaving a tremor in his hands. He watched the star-dusted black of space fill the viewport. "So," he said, voice hoarse, "you want to tell me what the hell just happened back there?" Titan engaged the autopilot and turned its unsettling granite-carved features toward him. "Apex." "My what?" "Your scent, your pheromones." "My senses registered them as a primary command signature," Elias blinked. "I showered this morning. It is not a scent of hygiene. It is a biological signal. Ancient. Dominant. A signal of a species that has clawed its way to the top of its native food chain, not through brute strength alone, but through relentless persistence and cunning. Titan's creators had programmed it to recognize and serve the ultimate predator. They had believed it would always be a being of immense physical power, a warlord, a genetically enhanced conqueror. They were wrong. The signal was not one of aggression. It was one of inevitability. "I'm just a diplomat," Elias protested weakly. "You do not need fangs or armor. Your very biology signals a will that cannot be broken." Elias rubbed his temples as a headache bloomed behind his eyes. "The Galactic Union is going to have a field day with this." A universal emergency broadcast bled across the shuttle's comms. Vexor's face, contorted with rage, filled the screen. 50 million credits for the human's head. 100 million if you bring me the traitor Draxian alive. Elias stared at the fuel gauge. It was worryingly low. We need a bigger boat. Incorrect, Titan said, already charting a new course. We need to go home. Home? Earth? Are you insane? That's the first place they'll look. No, it is the last. Titan explained. The galaxy would expect them to flee to the outer rim, to hide in the lawless fringes of space. They would never conceive that Elias would bring this level of chaos to his own world. They underestimate your species' capacity for turning disadvantage into fortress. Despite everything, despite being marked for death by one of the galaxy's most powerful crime syndicates, despite having an 8-foot apex predator declare him its new master, despite the fact that his day had gone from mediocre to apocalyptically catastrophic, Elias found himself laughing, a real, genuine laugh. Maybe Titan was right. Maybe it was time to show the galaxy just how dangerous a cornered human could be. Logos Intercontinental Spaceport wasn't so much a building as a living organism of controlled chaos. Ships of every conceivable configuration crowded the landing pads, while between them surged a river of humanity, vendors, mechanics, tourists, all moving with a purpose that defied logic but somehow worked. This is organized disorder, Titan observed from the shadowy confines of their newly acquired, thoroughly disreputable cargo ship, the Stray Comet. Welcome to Earth, Elias said, pulling on a worn jacket over his rumpled diplomatic suit, where we turn dysfunction into an art form. He'd traded the stolen shuttle for the Stray Comet and a pittance of fuel at a lawless asteroid outpost, a deal brokered with a level of creative lying he was particularly proud of. The key is to look like you belong, he told Titan. Try not to, loom. Looming is my default state. Work on it. They descended the ramp into the throng. Elias braced for screams, for panic, the kind of reaction an 8-foot-tall bioweapon usually elicited. Instead, people gave Titan a wide berth, their expressions a mix of curiosity, awe, and the kind of casual indifference only a species accustomed to seeing everything from costumed mascots to rogue delivery drones could muster. A kid pointed and shouted, "Whoa, cool robot," before being dragged away by his mother. They are not afraid, Titan noted. Nah, Elias said. Fear's a background noise here. You either tune it out or go crazy. We call it Tuesday. It is Tuesday. It's a figure of speech, buddy. They found who Elias was looking for in a shadowy corner of the Port Jinwei, former military intelligence, current freelance information broker, and the only person Elias trusted to handle a situation this spectacularly screwed up. She had a cybernetic eye that glowed softly and a grin that could cut glass. She took one look at Titan, then at Elias, and let out a low whistle. Elias, when you said you were bringing a +1, you failed to mention you'd adopted a walking extinction event. Jin, meet Titan, Titan Jin. She's going to help us not die. Charming, Jin said, her cyber eyes scanning the Draxian. Unit Titan, Batch 7, Generation 9. Impressive. Most people who meet one don't get introductions. Most are not. Apex, Titan stated. Jin's eyebrow arched. Right. So what's the play? Half the galaxy's lighting up bounty nets for you. The other half's taking bets on how you'll die. What are the odds looking like? Elias asked. 17-1. Ungruesomely, I put 100 credits on ironically. Your faith is touching. Elias pulled out a data chip, the one he'd copied from Vexor's servers in the chaos of their escape. I need this broadcast everywhere. Make Vexor radioactive. An explosion rocked the spaceport. Through the smoke emerged 6 figures clad in the black and gray armor of Zakarian kill teams. They found us, Jin observed. They found me, Elias corrected. You're just in the splash zone. Titan intercepted the first plasma bolts with its body, the impacts leaving scorch marks but no real damage. But more were coming, too many. This way. Jin yelled, dragging Elias toward a maintenance tunnel. What followed was a rooftop chase. Across logos that would have made action Hollywood's look tame. Elias parkered gaps, Jin moved like a cyber ghost, and Titan bullied physics into submission, smashing through obstacles like they'd personally offended it. They reached the broadcast tower. Jin jacked in a plasma bolt, struck her shoulder. The upload stalled at 90%. Elias spotted a kebab cart. Tightened the fuel canisters. The explosion lit the sky. The Galactic Tribunal chamber was designed to intimidate. Towering columns of crystallized dark matter, gravity fields that made lesser species bow. It was a goth kid's fever dream. Elias stood at the defendant's podium, crisp in a fresh suit. Explain your terrorism, Tribune Selects demanded. Elias smiled. Quick question, anyone else smell bullshit? Vexer, now with a cyber arm, snarled. That Draxian is stolen. Titan, Elias said. Are you stolen? No, I chose. Elias dropped the mic. Slavery's illegal. Oops. The room erupted. Then the doors blew open. Another Draxian unit, Nyx, entered. Vexer brandished a control rod. Kill them. Nyx inhaled Elias's scent and knelt. He is Apex. Chaos, votes, Earth. Got its seat. Months later, Elias held court in the Strategy Council. Nyx quoted Sun Tzu. Titan brewed coffee. Tribune Selects eyed him. Your methods lack propriety. Proprieties for species with spare time, Elias said. They walked out, species scattering before them. Lunch? Titan asked. Sure, Elias said. The Thai here's terrible. We'll complain and enjoy it. The galaxy didn't stand a chance.